My sister vanished from my life without warning and refused to speak to me for 6 years, but now she wants to meet up and I can't decide if I should let her back in or keep my distance. Posted by you/Jernunda. My name is Alex. I'm 26 years old, and for the past 6 years, I haven't spoken to my sister, Grace, who is a year older than me. Growing up, we were close, having the typical sibling squabbles, but nothing extreme. She was my only sibling, and after we lost our mother when we were young, we became even closer. Our father passed away from lung cancer the year I went away to college, leaving Grace as the only immediate family I had left. After Dad passed, Grace and I kept in touch. We'd talk on the phone a couple of times a week and see each other a few times a month. Our relationship was normal, not codependent, just siblings who had been through a lot together. I never saw her as a parental figure or someone I relied on, but as my sister, my friend, and my peer. Then when I was 20, Grace called me. She said we needed to talk. She sat me down and told me that she didn't think it was a good idea for us to stay in contact anymore. She said it wasn't anything I had done, but she needed space for herself. She wouldn't give me more details, and it was clear that her decision was final. I tried to understand, but she wouldn't elaborate further. I respected her choice, even though it hurt deeply. After that conversation, Grace disappeared from my life. For 6 years, there was no contact from her. I missed her during important milestones, my graduation, my master's degree, and the start of my career. I thought about reaching out, but I respected her boundaries. If she didn't want to be part of my life, that was her decision. I tried to move on and accept things as they were. Then, out of the blue, I got a voicemail at my work. I recognized her voice immediately. Grace left a message saying it had been a long time and that she wanted to meet up and talk. She left a callback number. I was surprised she found me since I don't use social media, but my company's public directory might have helped her track me down. I had mixed emotions. I missed her, but I was also angry. She had chosen to disappear from my life for 6 years, and now she wanted to reconnect. I was torn between wanting answers and not knowing if it was a good idea. I posted online asking for advice. Some people said they couldn't live without knowing why she left. Others suggested I ask her to email me her reasons first. One person recommended I speak to a therapist before meeting up, so I'd have someone to process things with afterward. That sounded like a good idea, so I reached out to the psychologist who had helped me quit smoking a few years ago. A lot of speculation came up about our relationship. Some people wondered if Grace had taken on a motherly role after our parents died and needed space. But that wasn't how things were. I never saw her as a parental figure. When Dad got sick, I was the one who took care of him, drove him to chemo, and handled his medical needs. Grace and I were more like friends than anything else. Update. I decided to call Grace back, but wasn't ready to meet in person. I gave her my email and asked her to tell me what happened and why she was reaching out. Grace responded with a long email. She said that when we were around 15 or 16, she started developing inappropriate feelings toward me. At first, it wasn't serious, but she knew it was wrong. When Dad got sick and passed, those feelings intensified, and she felt unable to be the sister I needed. She thought cutting contact would be the best solution, like ripping off a bandage. She admitted she wasn't entirely over it, but now I had been on her mind, and she regretted how things ended. She also wanted to be honest with me now and explained that she had finished her computer science degree and was working as a software developer at a game studio. We emailed back and forth for a while. It was difficult to process, but I appreciated her honesty. Eventually, we arranged to meet for coffee. What was supposed to be a half-hour chat turned into an hour and a half. It was good to catch up, and we talked about our childhood, our parents, and what we had been up to. Grace told me about her job and the projects she had worked on, and I shared updates about my own life. It felt like we were friends again, at least for that moment. Grace mentioned she'd been seeing a therapist to work through her feelings. She said she wanted to rebuild our relationship, even if it was just as friends. She apologized for cutting me off without explanation and hoped I could forgive her. I told her I appreciated her honesty and was open to seeing where things might go from here. After our meeting, I felt a mix of relief and discomfort. I had closure, but the reason she gave for cutting me off was unsettling. Part of me wished I hadn't asked or that she had lied, but I knew the truth was better. People online had questions about what Grace meant by inappropriate feelings. I didn't want to get into specifics, but I did confirm that they were of a sexual nature. Some people pointed out that intrusive thoughts can arise in emotional crises, especially after trauma or loss. Others said it's common to experience confusing emotions during times of grief. One commenter said, "Honestly, I don't think I could live without knowing." I agreed that I was curious but had already accepted things as they were, so I could live without knowing. Another commenter suggested Grace should explain herself in writing before I agreed to meet. Some recommended that I talk to a therapist for advice and support. I decided this was a good idea, as I had already worked with a psychologist who could help me process everything. There were also comments speculating about our dynamic. Some suggested that Grace had taken on a caretaker role, but I clarified that wasn't the case. I was the one who took care of Dad during his illness. Grace and I were never dependent on each other like that. We had a typical sibling relationship, not one of caretaking. After our coffee meeting, Grace and I agreed to stay in touch through email and occasional meetups. We're taking things slow, but I'm hopeful we can rebuild some kind of relationship, even if it's different than it once was. Some people online shared stories about intrusive thoughts and emotional crises. One commenter mentioned the comedian Maria Bamford, who openly talks about her struggles with mental health. Another noted that intrusive thoughts often emerge after trauma. All in all, this situation has been bittersweet. I have closure and an explanation now. It was good to see Grace again, and I'm open to reconnecting, but I know things will never be quite the same.